Okay, let's start our review of what we need to know to do trigonometry. And in trigonometry, the values of trig functions, which we'll talk about later, are usually always decimals. And these decimals, they go on forever. So we need to round decimals a lot when we do trigonometry. And this is not very hard. This is something we learn in the arithmetic courses. But let's review it anyways, just in case you don't know. And that way we'll all be on the same playing field when we come to round our answers in trig. Well, let me just write down some arbitrary number here. How about this one? Okay. The first thing we need to remember is the concept of place value. Do you remember what this place value is here? This is the ones place, right? And this place here is the tens place. And then the hundreds. And then the thousands. And it keeps going, of course. The next one is 10,000s, and then 100,000s, and then millions, and then 10 millions, and then 100 millions, etc. But usually with trigonometry, we're going to be worried about not these place values, but these place values. So we really need to remember the names of the place values that are on the right-hand side of the decimal. Well, let's start with this one. This one here is the tens. Sorry, it's the tenths. Excuse me. And this one here is the hundredths. This one is the thousands. And this is the 10,000s. I guess I'll write that out. It's kind of long. And the names continue on this side as well. The next one would be 100,000s. And then the next one would be millions. And then 10 millions, etc. Now I just want to show you the relationship between the names on each side of the decimal. The first thing to notice is, like, we have the extension THS, right? Notice that's on the end of all these words. So look at, if we take tens and we put THS on the end, we get tenths. The next one after tens here is hundreds. And if we put THS on the end, we get hundredths. After hundreds is thousands. We put THS on the end, we get thousandths. Notice, though, there is no once, right? ONETHS or whatever. That's not even a word. We don't have that, right? The first name here is ones, but this is not once. No. The first one here is tenths. But after that, it follows kind of the same pattern as here, right? This is tens, hundreds, thousands. This is tenths, hundredths, thousandths, right? So if you know the names of the places on this side, you can easily find the names of the places on this side, as long as you remember that you start with tenths. Okay, you don't start with ones. That doesn't make any sense. You just start with tenths. Excuse me. All right. Now, so really you need to get used to, when I say tenths, you should be looking here, okay? When I say hundreds, your eyes should be focused here, the second number to the right of the decimal point. And thousands will be here. We probably won't talk about, oh, I'm sorry, I see this arrow is pointed in the wrong. 10,000ths is actually here, isn't it? Tenths, hundreds, thousands, 10,000ths. This one would be 100,000s. Let's just fix that. And I might as well just erase this 8 altogether. Okay, now everything is fine. Now, so let me just repeat what I said here. When I say tenths, you should be focused here. If I say hundredths, you should be focused here. Thousandths, you should be focused there, etc. Now, let's take a look at an actual question. What if I want to round how about we take the number 47.32 to the nearest tenth. That's my first rounding question to you. I'm going to erase this here. I don't like it. So how do we round to the nearest tenth? The first thing we should do is look at the number that we're trying to round and identify the tenths spot. What number is in the tenth spot? Okay, well, let's look at our number. We know this is the tenth spot. We know is this number right here, okay? We call this the rounding digit, okay? Whatever, I could have said round this to the nearest hundredth or something, then that would mean that this is the rounding digit, okay? So in this question, I'm asking for the nearest tenth, which is right here. And so in this one here, this is going to be our rounding digit. What do we do with the rounding digit? Well, our next step is to look one more digit over from the rounding digit to the right, okay? So we take a look at this number. If this number here is 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4, then our answer is going to be 47.3. In other words, we leave that 3 alone, and we just chop off this 2, and our answer is 47.3. Okay? Now, just give me a second here. This may seem a little bit weird right now, but let me go on to the next one. How about if it was 47.38, say, okay? And I want to round this one to the nearest tenth. How do I do that? Well, again, my rounding digit is the 3 here, right? So what do I do always? I look 1 to the right, and I look at this number here. It's an 8. And if this number here is 5, 6, 7, or 8, or 9, then I don't just leave the 3 alone like I did back here. I actually have to increase it by 1 to make it a 4. So in this case, our answer is going to be 47.4. So here the answer is 47.3, but in this question is 47.4. Okay, so these are two different questions here. The first one, I wanted you to round this to the nearest tenth when it was 47.32. And that 2 there, since it's, these are the numbers that are smaller than 5, right? Since 2 is smaller than 5, I leave that 3 alone, and I just chop off the 2. And my answer is 47.3, okay? But on this second question here, I changed the number, didn't I? I'm still rounding to the nearest tenth, but now I'm rounding 47.38. And what do? Well, I look at my rounding digit. It's this one, because it's the tenths position. I look 1 over to the right to the next digit. If this number is 5 or more, like 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9, which it is, right? 8 is 5 or more, certainly. Then, what do? I don't just leave the 3 alone like I did back here. I actually increase it by 1, so that's going to become a 4. And then I chop off the rest, okay? So here the answer is 47.3 because this number was smaller than 5. But here the answer is 47.4 because this number is 5 or more. Now, that was just a quick introduction. Let's take a little bit more time and do some more exercises to get this a little bit more solid. Let's just get a new page.